morning Tuesday, or whatever time of the day it is with you, wherever you are. Hello. Let's start. Associated Press gives us mortgage default warnings surged in August. We're in the United States of America. Los Angeles. Banks have stepped up their actions against homeowners who have fallen behind on their mortgage payments, setting the stage for a fresh wave of foreclosures. Banks feel that they are now able to send out the appropriate paperwork to get people to either pay their mortgage or get out of the home. And it will have effects. I'll leave it there. This was very strange. I forget where I got it from, but there's a couple of things about it. It need money, take out a personal loan. A closer look at what people use them for today. It's America. And I was totally stumped by the opening, the main graph there. Most common reasons people take out a personal loan. 49% of personal loan applications are seeking a loan for consolidation of debt. And this is one of these things where you read something and you go, Nick, you are ignorant. You know not these things. I don't understand that. 49% of personal loan applicants are seeking a loan for consolidation of debt. I don't even know what that means. You take out a loan to consolidate your loans. I just don't understand it. And over the other yellow that I've highlighted, I don't really understand this either. Of 43% of American families spend more than they earn each year. Okay, I'm fine with that. It's just a plain fact. 43% of American families spend more than they earn each year. If that's what they do, that's what they do. Personal bankruptcies have doubled in the past decade. Okay, so far so good with that. Giving Americans more reasons to take out personal loans. That's the bit I don't understand. More people go bankrupt, so this gives people more reason to take out personal loans. I am a total head scratcher on that. Out of touch, me, understand not. signon.org, petition type site, want a real economic stimulus and jobs plan, forgive student loan debt, ! I think that should be ? Forgive the student loan debt of all Americans will have an immediate stimulative effect on our economy. With the stroke of the president's pen, millions of Americans would suddenly have hundreds, or in some cases thousands of extra dollars in their pockets each and every month with which to spend on ailing sectors of the economy. Think about it. Forgive student loan debt, all of it, in one stroke. How 15-year-olds around the globe stack up. Education. This is education. This mean reading score. Number 1 in the world is China. Then South Korea, Finland, Hong Kong, Singapore, Canada, Japan, with the United States 11th. Mean math score. 15-year-olds this. China is number 1, Singapore 2, Hong Kong, South Korea, Finland, Japan, Canada, United States 26th. Wall Street Journal or New York Times? One of the two. China consolidates grip on rare earths. Beijing, in the name of fighting pollution, China has sent the price of compact fluorescent light bulbs soaring in the United States, and presumably everywhere in the world, by closing or nationalizing dozens of the producers of rare earth metals, which are used in energy-efficient bulbs and many other green energy products. China is temporarily shutting down most of the industry and crimping the global supply of the vital resources. China produces nearly 95% of the world's rare earth materials, and it is taking the steps to improve pollution controls in a notoriously toxic mining and processing industry. But the move also has potential international trade implications and has started yet another round of price increases for rare earths, which are vital for green energy products, including giant wind turbines, hybrid gasoline-electric cars, and compact fluorescent bulbs. So it is going to be increasingly expensive for us to go green. Just to remind us that the place that I describe as a dangerous shithole, Yemen, security forces open fire on protesters. Security forces in Yemen have fired on anti-government protesters during a march in Sana'a, killing at least 26 people. Yes, they're still at it. And Bahrain, I think they've crushed them in Bahrain, haven't they? I think they let the doctors out in the end. You know, they put all the doctors in jail that were in the hospital that were treating protesters that had been shot. They put all the doctors and nurses in jail, but I think they've let most all of them out now, which is nice of them. Right, let's start with this. Last week in the Financial Times, Martin Wolf, and I highlighted the article, sounded a Keynesian battle cry, passionately urging governments to redouble their efforts to use cheap funds to raise future wealth and so improve the fiscal position in the long run. Quote from the article, and I think I might have read this bit. "It is inconceivable," says Martin Wolf, "that credit-worthy governments would be unable to earn a return well above their negligible costs of borrowing by investing in physical and human assets on their own or together with the private sector," saying that governments now, many of them, can borrow very cheaply, and surely they can get a return on investment by investing in human or physical capital. Equally, it is inconceivable that government borrowings designed to accelerate a reduction in the overhang of private debt, recapitalise banks and forestall an immediate collapse in spending cannot earn a return far above cost. In other words, this money can be used to make the economy better. Mr. Wolf is, of course, incorrect. It is absolutely conceivable that governments will not be able to earn a positive return on borrowing. Indeed, the United States has spent the entire previous decade borrowing money to invest in highway building and war. Mr. Wolf also goes on to use the case of Japan, yet another country that spent 20 years investing in negative return public works projects, or, as others have described it, paving the country over with cement. So, who is saying this? It is Grigor, US, in his article called Limits to Keynesianism. And the opening graph, which I've only cut off at the bottom because it fits in better. But these are the years for global average annual crude oil production. Global average annual crude oil production. The one on the end, 73.863, is 2000 and was it 10 or 11? Let's say it's 11. So going back, we've got 2010, 2009, 2008, 2007, 2006. 2005 is the 73,802 million barrels a day. It's not gone up much in the last 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, has it? No. That's his point. Read the article. Wall Street Journal. There will be oil. Da-dan, da-da. For decades, advocates of peak oil have been predicting a crisis in energy supplies. They've been wrong at every turn, says Daniel Yergin. And he writes the article, Wall Street Journal pumps it up nicely. And I really wonder why this happens. I really do. Read the article if you like. It finishes... I'm just reading the end because this is the way it finishes. Overall, US oil production has increased more than 10% since 2008. Probably true. Wouldn't get away with it if it wasn't. Net oil imports reached a high point of 60% in 2005, when the United States was pumping. That's pumping as in the economy was pumping. But today, thanks to increased production, and greater energy efficiency, America's not pumping. They're kind of going down, whoa. Plus the use of ethanol, which he throws in on the top. Ethanol imports are down to 47%. Probably true, but it's a tricky little paragraph, that one. As most all of the stuff that Jürgen puts out is well tricky. Things don't stand still in the energy industry. Beautiful fact. Things don't stand still anywhere, do they really? With the passage of time, unconventional sources of oil, in all their variety, become a familiar part of the world's petroleum supply. They help to explain why the plateau continues to recede into the horizon, and why, on a global view, Hubbert's Peak is still not in sight. That's the plateau that Gregor had in his 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, that plateau. That's the one that's receding into the horizon. Mr. Jürgen is chairman of Cambridge Energy Research Association, CERA. And if you're ever looking at peak oil stuff, have a look. And CERA's stuff is always a blop up here when everybody else is going kind of... peak oil's terribly difficult, so it's all sprayed out, but kind of together. And CERA's always completely apart from everybody else. And I really ask myself why. Right, you can read this if you like. It's only 120 odd pages. I'm getting through it. Peak oil, security policy implications of scarce resources by the Bundeswehr, which is my badly German accented. It's the German army, basically, and their report on peak oil, which came out last year, but this is the official translation into English if you want to have a go at it. And it is wonderfully German, very efficient. But it's an example of people that have gone into the subject of peak oil, obviously very seriously, because it's security implications that they're looking for, and have gone kind of, yep, this is, that is, they're trying to say this, that and the other, and tried to sort it out, realised that it's a hugely difficult subject, but have gone, yeah, but oil is a finite resource, and that's what they keep coming back to, and that keeps them on track, because so many people get off track with the facts, and your head explodes. Another thing that they got into, which they need applauding for, is EROI. The EROI, energy return on energy invested, is decreasing because oil is increasingly found in reservoirs that are difficult to access. Coal with lower energy content is used, and longer oil pipelines have to be built through difficult terrain. It is difficult to accurately calculate the energy return on energy invested, but there are estimates that the EROI of American oil fell from 100 to 1, as in, I can't explain it quickly, in the 1930s to 30 to 1 in the 1970s. You put 1 barrel of oil in and you'd get 100 out. In the 1970s, you put 1 barrel of oil in and you got 30 out. In other words, the energy you had to put into getting the oil out, now you're getting less energy return on the energy invested, because you used to get 100 out with one input. In the 70s it was 30 out from one input, and eventually between 11 and 18 today. And that the EROI of global oil and natural gas production lies at 18.1. These are average values. The value of new production facilities, however, is even lower. Oil shale has an EROI of 1.5 to 4 to 1, so average about 2 or 3. You put one in and you get 2 or 3 out from oil shale. And don't ask about ethanol and stuff like that. It could be 1 to 1 for ethanol. Right. Oh yes, there was a cartoon, but this isn't probably the best place to put it, but I'll leave you with it to have a look at, because that's the end of today.